Hello everyone, and welcome to a most interesting game between 11-year-old Judit Polgar and German Grandmaster Lev Gutman. Now, this game comes as a suggestion from a subscriber, one of my first subscribers, Pierre Grusak, and he sent it to me in an email along with a link. The link is to chessnews.com, to an article by Macaulay Peterson. Basically, the BBC UK invited Judit Polgar and Ho-Yifan to a podcast where they talked about girls in chess, women in chess, chess in general. A lot of interesting things about chess. I will put a link to it in the description below, so feel free to check it out. It's very enjoyable. And one of the things that Judit Polgar mentions in this podcast is that the first time she defeated a grandmaster, she was 11 years old, and that the grandmaster didn't really take it that well. That after the game he was banging his head against the elevator door. Now, in the podcast or in the article, Judit Polgar doesn't mention that it's actually Lev Gutman, but she does mention that it's the first grandmaster she beat, and according to the database, Lev Gutman is the first grandmaster she beat. So we're still, have to figure out if this is in fact the person, but the game is really great, so that doesn't really matter. So let's check it out. Before checking out the game, I do have a nice photo challenge for you. Here it is. Who is the gentleman on the right next to Judit Polgar? So best of luck to everyone. I think you should know who this person is. So once again, best of luck. Now let's check out this game. Judit has the white pieces and she plays e4. The tournament it was played in 1987 in Brussels in round 3. So e4, c5, and of course I forgot to reduce the volume. c5, the Sicilian defense, knight to f3, d6, and d4. C captures on d4, knight captures on d4, and knight to f6. We have knight to c3, so nothing out of the ordinary here. e6, the Scheveningen variation. Bishop to e2 and the bishop to e7. Both sides castle. We have f4, and here you could immediately try and take advantage of this f4 move by playing queen to b6, but here white would more than gladly go for bishop to e3 and offer this poison pawn. Well, it's not poison just yet. It depends what black does with the position. For example, queen captures, queen d3, and the game goes on, and white gets quite a lot of development for the price of one pawn. And as you've seen, the quote I've chosen above the board is Judit Polgar saying how she was labeled as a tricky player, but she was also known to be a very aggressive attacking player. So to the extent of playing like Mikhail Tal. So of course, Lev Gutman, even though she was still only 11 years old, he knew that she was very strong and an attacking player. So instead, he goes a6. Here we have bishop to e3, and now queen to c7. You could try and play b5 here. If you can play b5, you should always play b5 to prevent white from stopping it with a4. But here, after b5, it's too early. White can punish it with e5. And after captures, the knight is under attack, knight d5, captures. Here, white has this very nice knight to f5 idea. Of course, now if you trade queens, knight captures on e7 comes with check, so you're going to lose a piece, and only then will white recapture the queen. So here you would have to go bishop c5, and after captures, you would have to capture the bishop with check. Knight captures here, and after captures, white would simply be up a pawn. Really, not really something you want to do here. So instead, you can go b5 immediately. First queen to c7, guarding against this e5 central thrust. a4, now white doesn't allow b5 anymore. Knight to c6 and queen to e1, preparing to bring the queen over to g3. Knight to d7 and queen to g3 now, setting up everything for the kingside attack. Bishop to f6, we have rook a to d1, defending the knight, rook to b8, and now comes knight captures on c6, b captures on c6, and now e5. This is a beautiful pawn sacrifice, this e5 move, simply making room for the knight on e4. Judit decided to go for everything here. D captures on e5, and now knight to e4, attacking the bishop on f6. Of course, if you don't do anything here, for example, if you capture here, then you have this very nice idea of capturing the knight here, and then if you recapture, then knight captures on f6 will be deadly as the g7 pawn is pinned. So bishop to e7, getting the bishop out of the way. We have f5 now. This is no reverse gear Judit. E captures on f5, and now comes bishop to h6. Already on move 18, Judit is threatening checkmate on g7. We have g6, and now comes... if you capture on f8, that's not really doing anything for white. Black will simply recapture. Your knight is under attack. You have to move it. Knight d2. Then comes rook captures on b2. And with black being up 3 pawns and with the bishop pair, it's this is all the way black's game. So after g6, Judit continues in an aggressive fashion. Rook captures on f5. We have rook to b4, attacking the knight on e4, and now simply bishop to d3. And here, the best moves are most often the most obvious ones simply moving the rook out of the attack with rook to d8 would have been very nice for black. But here it seems like Judit has gotten into Lev Gutman's head. It seems he believed her that moving the rook is not all that great, so he plays f6 first. We have rook d to f1, even though now after this move capturing the rook was actually the best move. She doesn't go for material, she still goes for the attack. She increases pressure on the f-file. Rook d to f1, doubling up. We have rook captures on e4, first bishop captures on f8, king captures on f8, and now bishop captures on f4. G captures on f5, and now bishop captures on f5. So after all is said and done, Judit now has a rook against a knight and the bishop. So this is a better position for black, but black still has to prove it. Knight to b6, offering a trade of bishops, but of course you don't want to trade. We have bishop captures on h7, now threatening queen to g8 checkmate, so of course you do have to block this. Bishop to e6, developing the piece, the bishop activating it, and also guarding the g8 square. Bishop to e4, and now comes knight to d5. Queen to h4, and here comes knight to f4. It was extremely important to start running away with the king. King e8, king d7, king c8, try to hide away the king, but after knight to f4, it doesn't work anymore. Here, queen to h8 was played. This comes with check. We have bishop to g8 blocking, and now rook to d1. Black is still better here, but white has increased the activity of her pieces, to quite an extent. Here you definitely want to play queen to b6 check, and after king moves queen to f2, and you still have chances to play this game. Of course, now bishop to h7, which is white's main idea to win the game, will no longer work, as now white has to constantly keep an eye on this g2 pawn. But here after rook to d1, Mr. Lev Gutman played knight to e6. So here king to h1 immediately by Judit. She doesn't want to allow queen to b6 check. So now, as we've mentioned, queen to b6 now with the same idea will lose immediately to bishop to h7, as now this didn't come with check. So after king h1, bishop to d8 now, we have bishop to f5, and here comes knight to d4. Blocking that rook, but it doesn't really matter, and attacking the bishop on f5, bishop to h3, getting the bishop out of the way, and now white is simply better here. So the best move for black would be queen to h7, but here black is simply forced to give back the piece. After queen captures, bishop captures, here comes c3, and your knight is pinned. If you move the knight, you lose the bishop, and you can't go here to protect the bishop because the bishop is guarding e6, and your own c6 pawn is in the way of knight coming to c6. So this would have been much better for white, as white is up a pawn. So of course you don't want to allow this, so queen to f7 was an idea by Gutman, c3 nonetheless by Judit Polgar, and here comes queen to b3, attacking the rook on d1, but now queen to h6 check. King to e7, and now comes rook to f1, immediately threatening queen captures on f6 checkmate. As you can see, the bishop is controlling this entire diagonal. Or it wouldn't be checkmate. Yeah, okay, captures, and then the king can go here, but I doubt you could actually allow that. So you have to prevent this. Knight e6. Now creating an escape route for the king, but it doesn't really help black all that much. Queen captures on f6 with check, king moves, and now comes bishop captures on e6. And it was in fact in this position on move 37 that Lev Gutman resigned the game. Why did he resign? Well, of course, the obvious idea, bishop captures, loses to bishop captures on b3. Bishop captures and rook captures on f6 with check. White is up 2 pawns, and up the exchange, of course, this is very much winning. And another thing, after bishop captures on e6, you could also try queen captures on e6, but it doesn't help, because now queen captures on d8, the bishop is now undefended. King c5, and now comes this monster move, rook to f4. Controlling the c4 square. Now whatever black plays, b4 will be checkmate, and of course, unless you capture the rook, then queen to d4 will be checkmate. But yeah, after this bishop captures on e6 move, Lev Gutman resigned the game, and this is the first grandmaster Judit Polgar ever defeated at the age of 11. So whether this is the same person who pounded on the doors of the elevator, I guess we'll never know, but definitely an interesting story, so definitely I thought it was worth sharing. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out the links in the description below as usual. I would like to thank Alberto Vera Zavala, Bernard Königsberg, Adbel Garcia, and Dame Pletvares for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check all my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, hopefully with another interesting video. Thank you all.